Well, good. Happy Thanksgiving morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining Alladay Mobile Media. It is Thanksgiving morning. You know what that sound means. Yes, indeed. The Sumatra Mandeling is permeating the air. Boy, oh boy, and it is mixed with peach cobblers and apple crisps, and we're getting ready to do the turkey and got the biscuits getting ready to do some nice rolls. You know, there's an old saying, and I'm drawing a blank on exactly who said this, but this was a practice many years ago. They would cut someone's tongue out as a form of censorship. And they didn't cut the person's tongue out to prove they were lying. They cut the tongue out because they're afraid of what the person would say. Food for thought, food for thought. Another little funny factoid has surfaced. These voting machines are, in a 2-hour and 38-minute time frame, are only capable of processing 94,867 votes. So the question becomes, how did those very same machines process 384,733 votes? The pretend to be President-elect Joe Biden says, I will follow the science. I believe in the science. I believe in the science. Mr. Biden, math is science. When will you start believing? Stop lying to us, sir. Stop lying to us. Lots of clips to get to today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to start with an old one and a song that someone produced yesterday. Enjoy the clips. Here they are, just for you.
Hillary Clinton apparently still not over her 2016 defeat to President Trump. She's now claiming the election was stolen from her. Watch this.
I think it's also critical to understand that, as I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
I hope y'all enjoy this song. It's called Keep America Great. It goes a little something like this. There's a lot of winning going on right now, like I've never seen before. If you can't be proud of this country, then just head on out the door. Stand up and join together, because I know without a doubt there's something going on in the USA everybody keeps talking about. So let's keep America great, 'cause there's no greater time than now. For America to stand with President Trump, there's no time for backing down. Respected once again, that's what I'm talking about. So let's keep America great, 'cause there's no greater time than now. President Trump's gonna keep America great. There's no greater time than now. He's going to keep America great.
So we have a situation where we have 100,000 ballots to 120,000 ballots, both mail-in and USB, they're in question. Now, there's no cure for this. There's no remedy for this. As a home charter, we could have a re-election in Delaware County for our own representatives within our own town. But there is no cure for that for the President of the United States. And I don't believe as a citizen and an observer to this that anybody could certify that vote in any good conscience. And if the Democrats that have a part of this process, had done things, followed their own procedures, which they created almost unilaterally, we would be in a situation where they could exonerate themselves and they could say, Mr. Stenstrom, you've been misinformed. We have evidence here that refutes what you say. But that's not the case. They can't do that. So I say if you can't certify that vote, and you can't certify 100,000 votes out of 300,000, then you can't certify Delaware County. And I'm done, and thank you for your time and patience.
Thank you all. To this panel, before I have Senator
My name is Gregory Stenstrom. I'm from Delaware County. I'm a father, a family man. I was a former commanding officer and executive officer in the Navy. I'm a veteran of foreign wars. I'm the CEO of my own private company. I'm a data scientist. I'm a forensic computer scientist. I'm an expert in security and fraud. And we were told, I was told the next day by the solicitors, well, actually not the solicitor, but the attorney that we had secured, that they said every election they leave a couple of USBs in the voting machines and they're brought back, and generally the warehouse manager comes over and puts them in. So in talking to the U.S. Attorney General McSwain and other law enforcement officers, I found out that was not the case, that generally, more than two is unusual. So they denied they did it, but as of today, 47 USBV cards are missing, and they're nowhere to be found. So I was told personally that these 24 to 30 cards that were uploaded weren't there. Those cards, I demanded that they didn't update the vote live time. They only updated it about once every 2 or 3 hours. I demanded they uploaded the vote so I could see what the result was, and it was 50,000 votes. And I think as a computer scientist, an American, and a patriot, it doesn't matter who those 50,000 votes were. I'll tell you they were for Vice President Biden. But what was shocking to me as an American, as someone who has gone to sea, gone to war, that that could even happen. What we saw there, what I saw there, was a chain of custody in all cases that was broken. It was broken for the mail-in ballots, the drop-box ballots, the election day USBV card flash drives. In all cases, the chain of custody and the procedures that were defined by the Delaware County Board of Elections and Election Process Review were all, they didn't follow one. I couldn't even redline this multi-page document because the entire document would be, they didn't follow any of the procedures. What was really upsetting to me, and the most upsetting, was I had spoke to multiple law enforcement agencies and literally begged multiple law enforcement agencies. I said, go in, and I said, in order to prove, prove that nothing's happening, you either exonerate yourselves in the process or refute what I'm saying, please. It's a very simple process. Just go get the forensic evidence from the computers. It's a simple process. You turn the computer off. It's non-destructive. Takes moments, maybe half an hour, 20 minutes to do it properly and collect the evidence. You open the computer up. You take a device called a bit blocker. You put it in the hard drive. It's done under the observation of law enforcement officers. They take a forensic image of the drive, put it all back together. It wouldn't have taken more than an hour to image all 5 machines. That was never done, despite my objections, and that was 3 weeks ago. When we finally got into the back room where the votes were being ingested, as a data scientist, I want to see where the data is coming in. and I wanted to know the universe of the votes. Well, the universe of the votes was only supposed to be 120,000 mail-in ballots. We were told there were 6,000 ballots remaining. So I said, okay, we have a universe of 126,000 votes. And then when I get back there, the universe wasn't 126,000 votes. The universe was 200,000 votes. So that's a problem. On Thursday, it took us 3 days for them to obey the court order that I secured with Leah's help and the help of the Thomas More Society, who we thank incredibly good patriots. They got us in there. They got the order for us to get in and watch it, look at the back offices, which were locked for 5 minutes every 2 hours. I went in. I was the first one allowed to go in at 1:30 on Thursday, and then again at 3:30 for 5 minutes. The county solicitor had a stopwatch. On the first time, I was not allowed to touch anything. The second time, I did. What I observed in the locked room in the back office was 70,000 unopened mail-in ballots. They were in boxes of 500, stacked in neatly. The gentleman that came in with me was a Democrat poll watcher, is a forensic pathologist, a very detailed, very dedicated man, and he took meticulous notes as well. And I verified with him, are you seeing what I'm seeing? We both agreed as GOP poll watchers and a Democrat poll watcher that we had witnessed 60 to 70,000. We had a little bit of a disagreement there. The problem with that was by that time, the mail-in ballots had already been counted. So 120,000 mail-in ballots had already been counted, posted, and done. So my question is, where did the 70,000 ballots go? And nobody knows. A couple of other things is the Blue Crest sorter machine was only manned by one person. You know, people ask me all the time, how do people commit crimes? I know there's a lot of theories here, and I always look for the simplest thing. People that stuff, sticking USB sticks in, putting ballots in. Very simple thing, only takes a couple of people. Doesn't take a big conspiracy. I think people look at things and they use inflammatory words and, like fraud and so forth. As a forensic computer scientist, my interest is in the data. Where did it go? Where did the spoilage go? How did the data come in and go out of the system? So I think as a scientist, we need to look at that. We need to audit that. So I personally observed USBV cards being uploaded to the voting machines by the voting machine warehouse supervisor on multiple occasions. I saw this personally. I brought it to the attention of the deputy sheriff who was there stationed, who was a senior law enforcement officer, and I brought it to the attention of the clerk of elections. I brought it to their attention. I objected, and I said, this person is not being observed. He's not part of the process that I can see, and he's walking in with baggies, which we have pictures of, and it was submitted in our affidavits, and he was sticking these USBs into the machines. So I personally witnessed over that happened 24 times, over 24 times. We have multiple other witnesses that saw it, including Democrat poll watchers. Lastly, when they said, well, we've got all the forensic records and so forth. We just learned 2 days ago that virtually all chain of custody logs, records, yellow sheets, everything was gone. All forensic evidence, all custody sheets in Delaware County are gone. They had a signing party where they sat down and poll workers were invited back to recreate those logs, and our understanding as of today was that they were unsuccessful in getting them all.
A group of data analysts are speaking out about irregularities recorded with mail-in voting. One America's Chanel Rion has more.
Voter fraud has been dismissed by the left as a mythical fantasy, an impossibility that, even if it occurred, takes place by such minuscule margins that it doesn't matter in a general election. Peter Holler, a Pennsylvania attorney and lobbyist, tells One American News he's building bridges between former Trump campaign data analyst Matt Braynard and statistical analysts. What they found was stunning in scale.
We've actually found striking anomalies in the mail ballot data, as you can imagine, and particularly in the swing states. One of the most interesting things I could say is that the president foresaw this with great clarity when he warned people. He said, if you're going to mail in a ballot, you should check your vote. The reality is he was warning people that your mail ballot might not get there. We now have data, statistically significant samples across the swing states, all of them except Nevada. And in every one of those states, we've got an extraordinary number of people who literally their mail ballot got lost. And you may wonder, we certainly didn't poll or sample, the entire population of mail ballots that have not been returned. But when you get a significant enough sample, 1,500 people or so, and then you ask them, did you mail your ballot back? And 500 of those people say they did, but they're still showing as not having returned it. Well, if 1/3 of the pool has mailed back the ballot and it's showing as not returned, when you then analyze the size of the pool, you say, well, hey, there's 150,000 unreturned ballots, and you're saying 1/3 of them didn't actually get mailed back? Well, that is actually evidence of widespread fraud in that state.
The statistical analysis under the direction of Matt Braynard is being backed up by phone call verification, according to Holler, across Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Michigan.
And so here I'm acting as a bridge. I'm finding the experts. I'm spotting in Matt's data opportunities to analyze deeper. I mean, frankly, the anomalies are so striking, or the idea that 1/3 of unreturned ballots are actually people who returned their ballots. They just never got counted. Those numbers are so big that I immediately said these are going to be statistically significant. Let me go find a professor who can actually complete this.
Holler has recruited statisticians and mathematicians to further break down the likelihoods of these numbers happening so consistently across the swing states. The preliminary conclusions they have submitted thus far conclusively point to widespread irregularities, enough to alter the fate of an entire election. More concerning, says Holler, is the widespread instances of mail-in ballots being sent to voters who never ordered them in the first place. These voters show up to their polling stations and were turned away because they were told they had already voted. Holler says the data being compiled now, combined with affidavits, prove that widespread voter irregularities is not a myth. It is real and can be backed up by statistical evidence in a court of law. The question is, will any lawmakers or judges have the spine to listen? Chanel Vian, One American News, the White House.
Those are two sort of separate issues, right? You're talking about one, there's an intentional voter fraud, and then the other is a process issue that raises an equal protection issue, or a constitutional issue about the changing of the voting process. So is this a two-track situation here? I mean, and then of course you've got Sidney Powell's lawsuit, which is supposed to drop this week, that is supposed to be focused on Dominion and Dominion voting, and maybe even accusations of pay to play there. So I'm trying to clear this up for folks because there's a lot of smoke here, and we're just trying to make some sense of it.
Well, I don't believe there's a lot of smoke. I believe there's a lot of fact and a lot of truth. My lawsuit focuses on the unconstitutional process, the unlawful process by which the absentee ballot procedures were changed. It does not get into the issue of the fraud that was perpetrated through the Dominion voting machines and the massive fraud that was perpetrated through the mail-in ballots. Mm-hmm. Those issues will be addressed in the lawsuit that Sidney Powell is going to file, hopefully later today or this evening in Georgia. And I think her lawsuit will also touch on the same issues that I have in my case with respect to the unlawful acts of the Secretary of State.
Okay.
I know that people are impatient, but this was a massive fraud that had been planned for years. I think that the lawyers that have been involved in this case have done a magnificent job of investigating and producing the evidence. I've collected a lot of it myself. I have seen most of it myself. The evidence is there. Nobody's just speculating. This election was stolen, and it's going to be undone. The American people are not going to tolerate a third world type of election in America. We're not Venezuela.
Well, it was some programming error that people who voted early, whether they had, I mean, the ones who had applied, because, you know, they sent out postcards to everybody in July, and you could say that you either wanted the primary or just the November election, or you wanted both. We got the cards back, we entered them the right way. But some people didn't return the card, so theoretically they shouldn't have been in there at all as wanting to have something mailed to them. But if they came in and voted early in room 130 that week before the primary, there was something in the computer programming that entered them as having applied for a November ballot. We could tell because the application date was during that week of early voting. No, you didn't. It was a computer, I mean, it's not really a computer glitch. Some is a person. Garbage in, garbage out. Somebody programmed it. They forgot to check off, put a 1 where they should have put a 0, or, you know, I don't know much about programming, but they forgot to fix that. Well, it was kind of a big deal because people were making a big deal out of getting ballots that they shouldn't have gotten, and they were saying that we were mailing them ballots, and we weren't supposed to. We weren't supposed to just mail out ballots to people unless they asked for it. But our system was saying they'd asked for it, so that's why we did it.
Exactly. I'm just wondering if this glitch only happened in the presidential.
It's the only time. But we've never, the rules this year were different. I mean, we've never mailed, the state has never mailed postcards to people. You had to just make the effort to find the form and fill it out yourself. Nobody got mailed a postcard before. And this, it's not going to happen again. They changed the laws because it was only for this year.
When they sent out the thing explaining, like, the issue, like, was it an email or something, or did they send that letter?
They didn't really send it out until we started complaining. Then they go, oh, there seems to be some kind of a glitch here.
That's what the Secretary of State said.
No, somebody worked.
Oh, of course, you know, you always have.
Then it was too late for them to do anything.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Well. That one stretch in there by the same gentleman, that was the hearing in Pennsylvania yesterday, the public hearing. The other thing in the description today, ladies and gentlemen, is the link to the, you can download a copy and read it for yourself. It's a PDF format. The brief that Sidney Powell filed in Georgia last night. Things are starting to move in a different direction all of a sudden. So we'll see what happens. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know. I learned many years ago you never want to predict what a court will do. You just don't want to do that. You don't want to go down that road. Anyways, here's what we're going to do here. I'm going to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving from Alladay Mobile Media, ladies and gentlemen. Go to the website, alladaymobilemedia.com, alladaymobilemedia.com. There are some great turkey recipes on there. We got a cranberry sauce recipe. And tune in later today. I'm going to put a little montage together, all the food and stuff. Well, maybe sing a song. Who knows? It's a great day. I have a lot to be thankful for, and I hope you have a lot to be thankful for also. For everyone here at Alladay Mobile Media, ladies and gentlemen, I need another cup of coffee. From Alladay Mobile Media, happy Thanksgiving. Travel safe, folks. Let's all have a great day, and let's all be safe out there, huh?